Welcome to the video tutorial for Fool's Rush In, the second pattern in the Stardust Melodies Crochet Along series. I'm Polly and I'll be your host. If you'd like more information about the Crochet Along, please visit everytrickonthehook.com or Every Trick on the Hook on Facebook. For this video, I'll be using Aran weight yarn and a 5.5mm crochet hook. Let's get started. To make round 1, we'll begin by making a magic circle, or as I like to make, a double magic circle. We'll do that first by wrapping the yarn around our fingers, not once like for a magic circle, but twice for a double magic circle. Insert your hook into the loops and pull up a loop of yarn. Hold the loops and pull the yarn tight around your hook. Now, keep holding those loops, but put them in your other hand, in your yarn hand, and then chain 1. That secures your double magic circle. Now, to make our round 1 stitches, the first thing we do is single crochet into the magic circle and chain 2. We'll do that 4 times total. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2. To close our magic circle, first, if you need to, untangle your yarn end. Mine came out nice and straight, so I don't need to untangle it, but if you need to, you might need to pull it through the loops, through both of them, or through one of them. Just make sure it comes out the top nice and straight. Grab that yarn end and pull it just a little bit until you see one of the loops tighten. See how this one got smaller? Don't close it all the way. What we're going to do now, drop the yarn end and pinch that smaller loop near the top and pull on it from the top until you see the other circle close all the way. Now go back to your yarn end and pull that one to close the other loop, and your magic circle is closed. Now to finish round 1, all you need to do is slip stitch to both loops of the very first single crochet. After you slip stitch, give the loop on your hook a tug to tighten the slip stitch and make it as small as possible, and then we will move on to round 2. To make round 2, begin by chaining 1. Now the first stitch we're going to make is going to be into this very first stitch, which is the same one that we slip stitched into when we completed round 1, but we're only going to work under the back loop only. So insert your hook under the back loop only and pull up a loop to make a single crochet. Now we're at our corner. We're going to work into the chain 2 corner, a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. That's going to be our standard corner that we make throughout this square. Now in the next stitch, we're going to single crochet in the back loop only. Now we're at our corner again, so single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner. Same thing in the next stitch, single crochet in the back loop only. Next corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. This is the last stitch around. We're going to single crochet in the back loop only of this last round 1 stitch, and then we're going to do our last corner, which again, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Once you've done that, slip stitch to both loops of the very first single crochet in round 2. Now you might find that you have trouble finding the very first single crochet. Make sure you don't slip stitch into the chain 1 that we started with. You want to get the first single crochet. One of the things you can do to make this easier is grab a stitch marker and place it, as soon as you make the first stitch of each round, place it in the top 2 loops of that stitch. That way, after you've worked all the way around and you come back to it, it's much easier to find. So, slip stitch to that first stitch, pull your loop to tighten your slip stitch, and that is round 2. Now for round 3. Round 3 is an important round in this pattern, mostly because of the way it's written. It's written in a way that you can repeat it, and you're going to make this round several times throughout the pattern. So, to start this round, chain 1, just like every other round, and what we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the very first stitch. The very first stitch is the same one that we slip stitched to in the previous round. And then we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across this side to the next corner. In the case of round 3, there's only one more stitch, so there's just 2 stitches to start with, the very first one and this one in the back loop only until we get to our corner. When we get to the corner, make it as usual, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now we'll repeat that. We'll single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the corner. In this case, there are 1, 2, 3 stitches to the next corner. So in the back loop only, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. In the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And we're going to repeat that 2 more times. Single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. So that's 3 times down this side, and then in the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Once more, single crochet in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. In the corner, we single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now, we still have 1 stitch left. In other rounds, when we repeat this round, we'll have more stitches that will take us to the first stitch. But in this case, you just single crochet in the back loop only of this 1 stitch, or as many as it takes to get you back to the first stitch. Once you've done that, slip stitch to both loops of the first single crochet, and then pull your slip stitch tight to make it small, and that is round 3. Now you're going to repeat this process for rounds 4, 5, and 6. So the video won't show you that. Go ahead and make those, pause the video, and come back and we'll do round 7. In round 7, we're going to make some new stitches. If you've already done square 1 of the crochet along, begin the beguine, then you're already familiar with the concept of making a double crochet into the front loop only of a lower stitch. We're going to do that in round 7, but we're going to make different stitches than just a double crochet. So I'll show you how to do that. The first thing I want you to do is chain 1 to start our round, and the very first stitch we're going to make is a treble. We're going to make a treble into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. In begin the beguine, we made double crochets 1 round below. This time we're going to go 3 rounds below. So we're always going to start with that very first stitch, the one that we slip stitched into to close the last round. But this time I want you to count the rows down. So you can see the horizontal lines that are left from not working into the front loops and only working into the back loops. Those are what we're going to count. We're going to count down. So here's our next stitch, and we'll count 1, 2, 3 down, and that is the loop that we're going to work into. So let's do, I like to do it with my crochet hook, that way I can see. So I've yarned over twice for my treble, and then I go 1, 2, 3, and while I'm there I can just insert my hook right under that loop. I put my hook all the way through, and then what I do is as I pull the loop back out, it automatically sort of hooks right onto the front loop only of that stitch that I wanted to work into. Then I can yarn over and pull up my loop and complete my treble. You might find that the first stitch of the round, when it's worked into a lower round, is a little bit harder than the others. So just hang in there. The rest of the ones all the way around are going to be a lot easier. Okay, now the next stitch we're going to make is a half treble. A half treble is a stitch between a double crochet and a treble. We're going to work that into the stitch that is 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's our next stitch right here. 2 rounds below is right there. So insert our hook and pull up a loop. To make the half treble, I yarned over twice just like a regular treble, and then I pulled up a loop. So now I have 4 loops on my hook. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 3 loops. And that's how you make a half treble. The next stitch is a double crochet that will work similarly to in Begin the Beguine. We'll make it into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch right here. 1 round below is right there. And I will make my double crochet. Okay, that's all the difficult stitches for this first side. Now we are going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, which are also the last 3 stitches of the round. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to tell which stitch is the next stitch when you're working longer stitches into lower rounds. So what I like to do is count backwards. I know that I have 3 more stitches left on this round that I want to single crochet into the back loop only of. So 1, 2, 3, and I know that's my next stitch. So single crochet in the back loop only of those last 3 stitches of the side. Now I'm at my corner. I'm going to make a standard corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet again. Alright, now let's look at a full side. We'll start our side by single crocheting into the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, here's the good part. Now we're going to start our dropped stitches. We're going to start with a double crochet made into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So I yarned over for my double crochet. Here's my next stitch, and here's the stitch 1 round below. So I will insert my hook and pull up a loop from that front loop only and make my double crochet. Now we're going to make a half treble. So yarn over twice, and we're going to make this half treble into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, 1, 2 rounds, insert my hook, pull up a loop. This is a half treble, so I'll yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 3 loops. The next stitch is going to be a regular treble made into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch. Here's my next stitch, 1, 2, 3. Whew, okay, we're doing it. Now, the next stitch is the half treble made into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, 1, 2, and finally a double crochet made into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Here's my next stitch, 1, double goes right there. Okay, we did it. Now we need to do 3 single crochets in the last 3 stitches in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then we can make our corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Let's take a look at that side. Here's a full side of round 7. We started with 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. Here, I'll point with my hook. 1, 2, 3 in the back loop only, and then we did a double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below. Then we did a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below. Then we did a treble in the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below. Then a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, then a double in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, and we finished at the side with 3 single crochets in the back loop only. And our corner, of course, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So that is a full side of round 7. Go ahead and make that on the next 2 sides, 1 and 2, and I will show you how to complete the 4th side. Now to complete round 7, you can see here's where I started. I did a full side on side 2, 3, and 4, and now to complete the first side, I will show you what to do. I still have my corner to do, so I'm going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in my last corner, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. All that's left on this side is to first make a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, 1 round below, and the last stitch of the side is a half treble made into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. Now this can be a little bit confusing because we slip stitched to close, and you can see the slip stitches right here make little bumps. We don't want to work into those. We want to make sure we work into, this is my next stitch, so 1, 2, into the front loop only of that stitch, and we're going to ignore those little bumps made by the slip stitch, pretend they're not there, and slip stitch to the top 2 loops of the treble that we started with, and then pull that slip stitch tight, and that is round 7. For round 8, start by chaining 1. Round 8 is a very simple one. We're going to start by single crocheting in the back loop only of that very first round 7 stitch, which is the treble. So just into the back loop, single crochet. Now single crochet into the back loop only of the next 2 stitches. Back loop only, single 1 and 2. Now the only special stitches are double crochets in this round. So in the next stitch, 1 round below the next stitch into the front loop only, I want you to make a double crochet. So here's my next stitch, 1 round below, double crochet. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches of the side. 1, 2, and 3. Notice how the double crochet lands just outside the double crochet from round 7? That can help you a lot with placement, so you know exactly where to put it. Now let's make our corner, and I'll show you a full side of round 8. Corner, as always, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now for a full side of round 8, start with a single crochet in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now take a look at where you're at. The next stitch is a single crochet, and the stitch after that is the double crochet we made into a lower stitch. Right here is where you're going to place your first dropped double crochet. You're going to make a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So next stitch is this single 1 round below, just to the side of the next double crochet. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. The next 5 stitches are the drop stitches from round 7. So again, it's easy to keep your place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet made into the back loop only. And now the next stitch is the one just to the side of that last double crochet. This is where we'll place our next double crochet in the stitch 1 round, the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. And to finish up the side, single crochet in the back loop only of the last 3 stitches. If you can't tell which stitch to start in, count backwards. Here's the last stitch, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now make your corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner chain 2 space. And we'll take a look at that side. So round 8 starts, here's our corner, and we make 3 single crochets into the back loop only. So here's our corner, 1, 2, 3 single crochets in the back loop only, a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below, just to the side of the round 7 double crochet. Then we single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches, which are the dropped stitches from round 7. Back loop only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, which is just to the outside of this next double crochet. Then we single crochet in the back loop only of 1, 2, 3 final stitches of the side, make your corner. Go ahead and make that again on the next 2 sides, and I'll show you how to finish off round 8. Now to finish round 8, I need to make my corner, so single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the first 3 stitches of this side. So that first one's a little bit hidden. 1, 2, and 3. Now double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. So here's my next stitch, here's 1 round below, just on the outside of the double crochet from round 7. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the last 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Oops. And now you should be back at your first stitch. Make sure you don't single crochet into the slip stitch that closed your last round or into the chain 1 space. Remember, if you have trouble finding that first stitch, go ahead and put a stitch marker in it. Every time you make the first stitch of a round, put the stitch marker into that one so you can easily find it. Slip stitch to both loops of the first single crochet. Then pull your slip stitch tight, and that is round 8. Round 9 is very similar to round 8. We're going to start by chaining 1 and single crocheting into the back loop only of the first stitch, and then into the back loop only of the next stitch. So that's 2 single crochet so far. Now in round 8 we worked on the outside of the round 7 DC. In round 9 we're going to work on the inside. So we did our first 2 single crochets. Now we're going to double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Here's the next stitch, 1 round below. Now what you'll notice is it is the front loop only of the double crochet from round 7. Makes it very easy to place on later stitches. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we'll make our corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the chain 2 space. Now let's look at a full side of round 9. Single crochet in the back loop only of the first 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You'll know that you're in the right spot because the 5th single crochet will be done into the back loop only of the round 8 double crochet. After that, yarn over, we're going to make a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Again, this one is easy to place because the next stitch was made into the double crochet from round 7. So this double crochet is made into the front loop only of that double crochet from round 7. Now, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, which again is that double crochet from round 7. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the last 5 stitches. The first one is easy to place because it goes right into this double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then make your corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Now let's take a look at that side. To make a side of round 9, we did our corner, and then we single crocheted into the back loop only of the first 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That 5th one was made into the back loop only of the round 8 double crochet. The next stitch we made was a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, which happened to be the double crochet from round 7. Then we made 3 single crochets into the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Then we made a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Again, that is the double crochet from round 7. Then we made 5 single crochets in the back loop only, starting in the round 8 double crochet. Back loop only single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another corner. That's how you do a side of round 9. Go ahead and do the next 1 and 2 sides, and I will show you how to finish up that last side of round 9. To finish round 9, I'm going to make my last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in that last chain 2 space, and now I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. So back loop only, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That 5th one, as always, lands in the double crochet from round 8. Now, double crochet in the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch. Next stitch, 1 round below, is the double crochet from round 7. So double crochet in the front loop only of that double crochet. The last stitch is a single crochet into the back loop only of the next stitch. Make sure you don't work into your slip stitch and you don't work into the chain 1 that started this round, just into the back loop only, and then slip stitch to both loops of your first single crochet, pull your slip stitch tight, and that is round 9. Round 10 is another very easy round. Start by chaining 1 and single crochet into the back loop only of that very first stitch. Now what we're going to do is half treble into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch. That's 2 rounds below. So here's my next stitch, 1 round below and 2 rounds below. Notice that 2 rounds below is the half treble from round 7. So this stitch, just like in round 9, the double crochets were so easy to place because they were right above the double crochets from round 7. In round 10, the half trebles are all going to match up with the half treble from round 7, and they'll be on the inside of the round 9 double crochets. So, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch, which is the half treble from round 7. Make a half treble, and now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. The first of the 7 goes into the back loop only of that round 9 double crochet, and then single crochet in the back loop only of the remaining stitches of this side. 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now make your corner as usual with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Okay, let's look at a full side of round 10. To start, single crochet in the back loop only of the first 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you place them correctly, your 7th stitch will be in the back loop only of the round 9 double crochet. The next stitch is a half treble into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch, which again happens to be the half treble from round 7, so it's easy to find. Half treble into that, and now single crochet into the back loop only of the next 1 stitch, then half treble into the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch, again is the half treble from round 7. Here's our next stitch, 1 and 2 is the half treble. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. The first one will go into the back loop only of the double crochet from round 9. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner as usual. Oops. And then we'll take a look at the side. So here's how a side of round 10 goes. We did our corner, and then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the first 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th one landed in the back loop only of this double crochet from round 9. The next stitch was a half treble in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below, which happened to be the half treble from round 7. Then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next stitch, and we half trebled in the front loop only of the stitch 2 rounds below the next stitch, again the half treble from round 7. Then we did 7 single crochets into the back loop only, the first one starting in the back loop only of the round 9 double, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, and our corner. So go ahead and do that again on the next 2 sides, and I will show you how to finish round 10. To finish round 10, I'll make my final corner, single, chain 2, and single in that chain 2 space. And now I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th lands in the back loop only of the round 9 double crochet. My last stitch is a half treble made into the front loop only of the stitch 1 round below the next stitch, which is the half treble from round 7. Now I will slip stitch to the top 2 loops of my very first single crochet and pull my slip stitch tight to make it small, and that is round 10. Round 11 is another very easy round. We're going to start a little bit differently than the other rounds because we'll chain 1, and the first stitch is actually going to be a treble made into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the very first stitch. I'm going to make this easy for you and tell you that that front loop is actually the front loop of this treble from round 7. So you can count if you want. Here's our next stitch, 1, 2, 3, or you can just find that treble and then its front loop and make a treble into that very first, or that very same treble from round 7. That is our only special stitch for each side of round 11. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 9 stitches. The first one is easy to place because it goes into the back loop only of the half treble from round 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're at our corner, so into the chain 2 space as always, single, chain 2, and single. Now let's look at a full side of round 11. We'll start off by single crocheting into the back loop only of the first 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You notice the ninth one lands in the back loop only of the half treble from round 10. Now, between this half treble and this half treble, we're going to make a treble into the front loop only of the treble from round 7. Technically, that would be the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch. So here's our next stitch, 1, 2, 3, or just find that treble right between the half trebles and place your new treble in the front loop only. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 9 stitches, starting with this half treble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and our corner, single, chain 2, single. And we'll take a look at what we did there. So we made our corner, and then we single crocheted into the back loop only of the next 9 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The 9th single crochet was made into the back loop only of this half treble. Then we made a treble into the front loop only of the stitch 3 rounds below the next stitch, which happened to be the front loop only of the treble from round 7. That treble is easy to place because it falls right between the 2 half treble and right into the round 7 treble. Then we made 9 single crochet into the back loop only, starting with the back loop only of this half treble. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then our corner. That is a full side around 11, really easy one, and you'll see after you've done it, you have a sort of diamond shape that's created from the stitches that we made. So go ahead and do a full side of round 11 on the next 2 sides, and I'll show you what to do for the very last side. To complete round 11, I'm going to make my last corner, single, chain 2, and single into that last chain 2 space. Now to complete it, it's very simple. We're going to make 9 single crochets into the back loop only of the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and number 9 will land in the half treble from round 10, and that's how you'll know you're done. When you get there, slip stitch to both loops of the very first treble that you made and pull your slip stitch tight, and that is round 11. When you're done with round 11, you can step back and look at your awesome work, because now you can actually see some texture. We've made these diamonds and it's starting to look like something. Over the past several rounds, we learned how to place different stitches into the front loop only of stitches that are 1, 2, or 3 rounds below the next stitch. In round 12, we're going to learn how to place stitches ahead of or behind the next stitch. To start round 12, chain 1 and single crochet in the back loop only of the first stitch and single crochet in the back loop only of the second stitch. Now, if you're looking at the written pattern, we're going to make what I called a concentric V. A concentric V is really just a collection of stitches that I gave a name to make it easier to repeat around your square for round 12. So to make a concentric V, it's going to be worked over the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches will make our V. The first thing that we're going to do is make a treble. So I'm going to yarn over twice, but we're not going to make a treble just below the next stitch. We're also going to make it ahead. So our treble is going to be placed 2 rounds below and 2 stitches ahead of our next stitch. To figure out where that goes, here's my next stitch. I'm going to count 1, 2 rounds below and 1, 2 stitches ahead. I'm going to pinch right there to mark that stitch with my thumb and then insert my hook into the front loop only and make my treble. And that gives me a treble that is now at an angle. Remember that the single crochet, the very next one that we have not worked into at all, that now counts as worked because of this treble we made. The next stitch we're going to make is a double crochet that is worked 1 round below and 2 stitches ahead. Now if we bend our treble down so you can see, that's the stitch that counts as worked into by the treble. The next stitch is this one. We could count 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead, but I will give you a cheat and let you know that this is the loop immediately above the one we worked the treble into. We're going to make a double crochet into that loop. The next stitch in the concentric V is very easy to place. It goes immediately above these two, immediately above the treble and the double crochet. We're going to work a single crochet into the back loop only of the next stitch, which happens to be the one in a straight line above the treble and the double. There's your first 3 stitches of your concentric V. Now, the 4th stitch of the concentric V is a double crochet. This one is made 1 round below the next stitch and 1 round behind. Again, I will tell you that this is the same loop that the other double crochet was made into. So make another double crochet into the front loop only of that stitch. Now, the next stitch we're going to make is a treble. We're going to make the treble 2 rounds below. Here's my next stitch right here. 1, 2 rounds below and 2 stitches behind. 1, 2. That, I can tell you again, is the same loop that the first treble was made into. So, concentric V is actually pretty easy to make. Once you place your first stitch, you get your treble 2 rounds below and 2 stitches ahead. You can place the next stitch, the double crochet, in the loop immediately above where you placed that treble. Then you can place the single crochet into the back loop only of the stitch immediately above where you placed the double. Then you make another double into the same loop as the first double. Then you make another treble into the same loop as the first treble. And that's your concentric V. Now, what might be tricky here is figuring out which stitch is the next one that you work into. What I like to do is count backwards from my corner. I'm going to make 4 single crochets into the back loop only. So which one do I start with? Well, let's count backwards. Here's my last stitch of the side. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. That is the stitch I want to start with. That is my next stitch because the 5 stitches of the concentric V count as working in the stitches that were right behind them. So there's my first single crochet in the back loop only, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, now let's make our corner. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. That wasn't too bad, was it? Now we're going to make 2 more of these on each side going around. So let's look at a whole side now. First thing we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. So back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now it's time for another concentric V. Okay, let's take a deep breath. This is pretty simple, it just requires some counting. So before I even worry about my treble, I'm going to do some counting. So here's my next stitch. Let's count 1, 2 rounds below and 1, 2 stitches ahead. If you're counting stitches forward and backward, you can kind of see that the loops are segmented. You see how they sort of twist around each other? You can even pull your square open a little bit to help you get a better view. So here's my next stitch, 1, 2 stitches down, 1, 2 stitches ahead. I'm going to pinch right there to mark it with my thumb, yarn over twice, and then make my treble. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now we need to make a double crochet 1 stitch below and 1 stitch ahead, but like we talked about with the last concentric V, it's so much easier just to identify the loop the treble was made into and work 1 loop above that to make your double crochet, and then immediately above that make a single crochet into the back loop only, and that's your first 3 stitches. Your next 2 stitches are so easy to make because you're going to make a double into the same loop as the first double, and then you're going to make a treble into the same loop as the first treble. Now we're going to go back to doing some single crochets, and we have to figure out how to place them. So you can always bend these stitches forward and count 1, 2, those 2 count for the double and the treble, and this would be my next stitch. I like to make a mental note that the next 3 single crochets will go right in the middle, so there'll be 1 before the treble into the back loop only of the single crochet just before the round 11 treble, 1 into the round 11 treble, and then 1 just on the other side of the round 11 treble. So 3 single crochets in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, which happen to be the stitch immediately before the treble, and the stitch immediately after the treble. Okay, that's not too bad, right? Let's make another concentric V for this side. So here's our next stitch, and if we count 1, 2 stitches down, and let me just try that again. Okay, next stitch, 1 stitch down, 2 rounds down, and then 1 stitch ahead, 2 stitches ahead. Place my thumb there to mark it, yarn over twice, and make my treble right into that loop. Now I'm going to make a double crochet 1 round below and 1 round ahead, or I can easily place it by saying this right here is the loop I worked my treble into. This is the loop right above it. That's where I'll place my double crochet. Now immediately above that loop is this stitch. I'm going to work a single crochet into the back loop only of that stitch. Now I'm going to work a double crochet into the same loop as the previous double crochet. And finally I'm going to work a treble into the same loop as the previous treble. Oops, I lost my loop. And that is my second concentric V. Now again, I can count 1, 2, that counts as worked by my double, that counts as worked by my treble, the next stitch would be this one, or I can count backwards 4, 3, 2, 1, and make 4 single crochets into the back loop only of the last 4 stitches of the side. 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to go ahead and make my corner, single, chain 2, single, and now let's take a look at this side of round 12. So we started off with our corner and we single crocheted in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we made a concentric V. We made the V by counting the first treble. We counted 2 rows below, so 1, 2, and 2 stitches ahead, and we placed our first treble. Then we made a double crochet into the stitch immediately above the one where we placed our treble. Then we made a single crochet into the back loop only of the stitch immediately above that. After that, we made another double into the stitch into the front loop only of the same stitch as our first double. Then we made another treble into the front loop only of the same stitch as our previous treble. Then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Those stitches were the one immediately before the round 11 treble, the round 11 treble, and the one immediately after the round 11 treble. Then we made another concentric V. We counted 2 stitches, 2 rounds below, 1, 2, and then we counted 1, 2 stitches ahead and made a treble into that loop. Then we made a double crochet into the front loop only of the stitch immediately above where we made the treble. Then we made a single crochet into the back loop only of the stitch immediately above that. We made a double crochet into the same front loop only as the first double, and then we made a treble into the same front loop only as the previous treble. After that, we single crocheted in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches of the side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we made our corner. So go ahead and watch that part of the video as many times as you need to make this side and the next 2 sides, and then I will show you again how to finish up the last side of round 12. To finish round 12, the first thing I'm going to do is make my last corner, single crochet, and chain 2 and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Now, to finish this last side, we will single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've made it this far, you are probably a pro at the concentric V. I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to make a treble. 2 rounds below the next stitch is going to be 1, 2, and 2 stitches ahead, 1, 2, right into that loop. Make a treble. Now I'm going to make a double 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead, which happens to be the loop just above the loop I made the treble into. Then I'm going to make a single crochet into the back loop only of the single crochet immediately above where I made the treble and the double. Back loop only, single crochet, and then I'm going to double crochet in the exact same loop where I made the first double crochet, and I'm going to treble in the exact same loop where I made the first treble. Now, the 2 stitches behind those count. The double counts as working that one, the treble counts as working that one. Here's my last stitch. I'll single crochet into the back loop only of that stitch, and then slip stitch to both loops of the very first single crochet I made. Pull my slip stitch tight, and that is round 12. If you've gotten that far, congratulations. That was not easy stuff, was it? But you can do it. The next few rounds, we are going to learn how to do one more new stitch and how to place it. But if you can do that, I'm pretty sure you can do anything. So let's go ahead and move on to rounds 13, 14, 15, and we'll wrap up our square. Round 13 is just a plain round of single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch, and a normal single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in our corners. This is basically just round 3 repeated. So make it just like you made round 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's just going to have a few more stitches per side. At the end of round 13, you should have 25 stitches in each side, not counting the chain 2s in your corner. So go ahead and make round 13, and then I will show you how to make round 14. In round 14, we're going to learn a new stitch. I want you to start round 14 by chaining 1 and yarning over. We're going to make a double crochet 2 together. So what this means is, essentially, we're making 2 double crochets into 1 stitch, but we're going to place them so as to use them for texture. So the first leg of our double crochet is going to go 1 round below the first stitch. So here's the first stitch, 1 round below, and 1 stitch behind the first stitch. So working behind it, going to make sure not to count my slip stitch bumps as stitches. I'm going to work into the loop 1 behind the first stitch. So I've yarned over once, and now I'm going to insert my hook into that loop and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. Before I'm done, I'm going to yarn over again and make a second leg of this double crochet 2 together into the stitch that is 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead of the first stitch. So here's my first stitch here, 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops on my hook. I should have 3 loops on my hook now. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops for a double crochet 3 together. Now, this might seem a little bit loose at first, but I promise when we come back around and we join round 14 to the beginning, it's going to sit much more nicely. But at first it might seem a little awkward. And I also want to show you that the legs for this very first stitch fall in the stitch just after this treble from round 12 and just before this treble from round 12. So it kind of helps you place them into the loops in between these 2 trebles. Now, the next thing we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Now, to place the very next single crochet, what I like to do is identify the second leg of the double crochet together, 2 together, and I work into the stitch that's immediately above where I place that stitch. So in the back loop only, single crochet 1, and then 2, and then 3. Now I'm going to make another double crochet 2 together, and I'm going to place the legs of the double crochet 2 together similarly. The first one is going to go 1 round below the next stitch and 1 stitch behind. The second leg is going to go 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead. Now if you look at where we're at right now, that places it exactly in this double crochet from round 12 and this double crochet from round 12. So it's actually much easier to place this second double crochet 2 together than the first one. Now I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. Again, I'm going to identify where I start by pointing out the second leg of the double crochet 2 together was worked into this loop. Immediately above that is this stitch. I'm going to work into the back loop only of that 1, and then 2, and then 3. Okay, we're doing good. Now we're going to make 1 more double crochet 2 together on this side. So yarn over and count 1 round below and 1 stitch behind. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook. Now here's the stitch that we're counting from. 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead is this one right here. Pull up a loop. Oops, I forgot to yarn over. Yarn over and then insert my hook and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. I should have 3 loops on my hook. To yarn over, pull through all 3 loops to complete my double crochet 2 together. Now, the last few stitches are going to be single crochets into the back loop only. Again, I'm going to identify the second leg of my double crochet 2 together goes into this loop. Immediately behind it, or above it, I'm going to make a single crochet into the back loop only of that 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the last 4 stitches get single crochets in the back loop only. Then I'm at my corner. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in my corner. Now let's take a look at a full side of round 14. Now for the first full side of round 14, we're going to start by making 4 single crochets into the back loop only of the first 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next stitch we're going to make is a double crochet 2 together. We're going to yarn over once, and we're going to place the legs of this double crochet 2 together just the way we did the ones on the previous side. So here's our next stitch. We're going to count 1 down and 1 behind, and we will insert our hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over again. Now count, here's the next stitch, 1 down and 1 ahead. Insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. The very next stitch is the one immediately above where you placed the second leg of your double crochet 2 together. So insert into the back loop only and make a single crochet in 1, 2, and 3 stitches. Now we're going to make another double crochet 2 together. This one's much easier to place because we're over the concentric V. This double crochet 2 together, the first leg is going to be worked into the front loop of this double crochet, and the second leg will be worked into the front loop of the second double crochet of our concentric V. So yarn over once, insert into the front loop only of that double crochet, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert into the front loop only of the second double crochet, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 3 loops, and that is your double crochet 2 together worked right above your concentric V. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. The next stitch is the one right above the second leg of your double crochet 2 together. So in the back loop only, 1, 2, and 3. Now another double crochet 2 together. So yarn over once, our next stitch, count 1 down and 1 behind, insert and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, count, here's our next stitch, 1 down, 1 ahead, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 loops, the next 3 stitches. The next stitch is the one right behind the second leg of your double crochet. 1, 2, 3. You can tell that you did it correctly because your next stitch will be right in the middle of the concentric V. Yarn over, we're going to make another double crochet 2 together. Insert your hook in the first double crochet of the concentric V into the front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the second double crochet of the concentric V, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. Single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. The very next stitch is the one behind the second leg of your double crochet 2 together. In the back loop only, make a single crochet, 1, 2, 3. Whew, okay, we're almost there. We're going to make 1 more double crochet 2 together. Okay, this is the last one. Yarn over, count, here's your next stitch, count 1 down, 1 behind, insert your hook, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over. Now count again. Here's your next stitch, 1 down, 1 ahead, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 3 loops. Okay, that was the last double crochet 2 together of this side. Now we're going to single crochet in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches. So the first one is the one right above the second leg of the double crochet 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and take a deep breath, make your corner. 1, 2 chains, and a second single crochet. There's my corner. Okay, let's take a look at that side real fast, and then I will send you on your way to make the next 2 sides. So here's what we did. We made our corner, single, chain 2, single, then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches of the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we made a double crochet 2 together. We made a double crochet 2 together. The first leg was worked 1 round below and 1 stitch behind. The second leg was worked 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead. All the double crochets 2 together were made that way. So then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. We double crocheted 2 together over this concentric V. The first leg was worked into the first double crochet of the concentric V. The second leg was worked into the second double crochet of the concentric V. Then we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. We double crocheted 2 together. I'm not going to show you that again. We've been through that so many times. You're good, right? Okay, good. Now we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. We double crocheted 2 together into the double crochets of this concentric V. We single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches, and we did our last double crochet 2 together, and then we did our last 4 single crochets in the back loop only of the last 4 stitches, and we finished off with our corner. Whew, okay, that wasn't too bad, was it? Now go ahead and do that on the next 2 sides, and I will meet you down here for the last half of the first side to show you how to finish up round 14. To finish the last half side of round 14, I'm going to start by making my last corner with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. Then I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the first 4 stitches of the side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, I'm going to make a double crochet 2 together by yarning over once and counting from here's my next stitch, 1 round below and 1 round behind. Insert my hook into that front loop only and pull up a loop. Then yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook and yarn over again. Now I'm going to count again. Here's my next stitch, 1 round below and 1 stitch ahead. Insert my hook and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 3 loops, and that's my double crochet 2 together. Next, I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. The very next stitch is the one immediately behind the second leg of our double crochet 2 together. So I'm going to single crochet in the back loop only of that 1, and then 2, and then 3. Now, to make our very last double crochet 2 together, yarn over once and insert your hook. This one's so much easier to place because it's right over the concentric V. Insert your hook into the front loop only of the double crochet, the first double crochet of the concentric V. Yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over, insert your hook under the front loop of the second double crochet in the concentric V, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 3 loops. And that's your last double crochet 2 together. The last stitches you need to make are 3 single crochets into the back loop only of the next 3 stitches. The very next stitch is the one immediately behind or above the second leg of the last double crochet 2 together. So in the back loop only, single crochet 1, 2, and 3. And then slip stitch to the top 2 loops of your very first double crochet 2 together. pull that tight to make it small, and that is round 14. In round 15, I have one more thing to show you. I want you to start round 15 with a chain 1 as always. And now we're going to make a treble crochet 2 together. We're going to do that by yarning over twice. Now the first leg of our treble crochet is worked 2 rounds below and 2 stitches behind our very first stitch. But in the last round we worked a double crochet over some of the stitches we need to count. So I'm going to show you how to place this easily without counting. First thing you do is find the treble of the concentric V that's behind you and work the very first leg of your treble 2 together into the front loop only of that treble. So the second treble of the concentric V that is behind you. So yarn over twice and insert your hook into the front loop only of that treble. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. That's the first leg of your treble 2 together. Now yarn over twice and insert your hook into what would be the stitch that's 2 rounds below and 2 stitches ahead of the first stitch. That stitch is the first treble of the next concentric V. So insert your hook into the front loop only of the first treble of the next concentric V. Yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Now just like our first double crochet 2 together from the last round, the first one will be a little bit loose until you get more stitches in, so don't worry about that. The next thing we're going to do is single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. In this case, you need to be careful and make sure you start in the right place. So make sure you don't start in the first stitch. You might need to bend your trebles down a little bit to make sure you're not starting in the first stitch. You're starting in the stitch right after it, because remember the first one counts as worked because we just worked a treble 2 together in front of it. So now we're going to work in the next stitch a single crochet in the back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 total. And if you place them correctly, your next stitch will be this double crochet 2 together. So we skipped this double crochet 2 together, and now the last one at the side is the one we're going to be working over. We're going to make another treble 2 together, and this one is also easy to place. I'll show you how. So yarn over twice, and the first leg of this treble goes into the front loop only of the second treble in your concentric V. Right here. Insert your hook and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. Now yarn over twice, and we don't have another concentric V to help us place our stitch, but it's still pretty easy because it goes just on the outside of the double crochet 2 together. So here the second leg of my double crochet 2 together is worked into this loop. In the next loop over from that is where I'm going to place the second leg of my treble 2 together. So I yarned over and pulled up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2 loops twice. And now I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. Now, to finish up this side, we are going to single crochet in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So make sure that you're not working into the double crochet 2 together. Single crochet into the back loop only of the next single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 times total. Make your corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Now let's look at doing a whole side of round 15. To start this side, single crochet in the back loop only of the first 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that should put you right at the next double crochet 2 together. We're going to place the next treble 2 together right over that one. So yarn over twice. The first leg of this treble is worked in the front loop only of the stitch just before the first leg of the double crochet 2 together. So here's my double crochet 2 together, the first leg. The stitch right before that is where I'm going to place the first leg of my treble crochet 2 together. So I yarned over twice. I'm going to insert my hook into that loop and pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops on my hook twice. Now yarn over twice to place our second leg. The second leg of this treble 2 together is going to go into the first treble of the concentric V. So insert your hook into the front loop only of that treble, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops twice. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that is your first treble 2 together of the side. Now, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. To do that, fold your treble 2 together down a little bit. There's my double crochet 2 together. I don't want to work into that one, I want to work into the stitch immediately after it. So in the back loop only of that stitch, single crochet, and that's the first one. So 7 total, that was 1, 2, and 3. I like to make sure that my fourth of the 7 goes into the double crochet 2 together from the last round, and that way I know I placed them correctly. So that was 4, 5, 6, and 7 will put me just before the center double crochet 2 together, and I can place my next treble crochet 2 together. So yarn over twice. The first leg of this one goes into the second treble of the concentric V behind me. So insert my hook and pull up a loop in the front loop only of that treble. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook. And yarn over twice to place my second leg in the first treble of the next concentric V. So here's the treble, here's the front loop, insert my hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook twice, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on my hook for treble 2 together. Now again, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. The stitch we just worked over was the double crochet 2 together, so the next stitch after the double crochet 2 together is this single in the back loop only, 1, 2, 3, and my fourth one is landing in the back loop only of the double crochet 2 together, so I know I'm right on track. 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now over the last double crochet 2 together of this side, I'm going to work one more treble crochet 2 together. So yarn over twice. The first leg goes in the second treble of the concentric V behind me. I'm going to go under the front loop only and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook twice. Now to make the second leg, yarn over twice, and I'm going to insert the hook for the second leg into the stitch immediately after where I placed the second leg of my double crochet 2 together. So here's my double crochet, goes into that loop. The loop right after that is where I'm going to insert my hook, pull up a loop, and complete my stitch. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops on my hook twice, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on my hook. I'm going to finish up with a single crochet in each of the last 5 stitches, in the back loop only of each of the last 5 stitches of the sides. So I like to count backwards to make sure I'm on track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is where my first stitch goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'll make my corner, single, chain 2, and single in the corner, and then let's look at what we just did. Okay, so here is a complete side of round 15. We started off by single crocheting in the back loop only of the first 5 stitches. So here's our corner, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we made a treble crochet 2 together. We made the first leg of it into the stitch immediately before the double crochet 2 together. So in the front loop only of the stitch that comes just before the first leg of the double crochet 2 together is where you place the first leg of your treble crochet 2 together. The second leg was placed in the front loop only of the first treble of our concentric V. After we made our treble crochet 2 together, we single crocheted in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. We made sure we were on track because the 4th stitch landed in the double crochet 2 together that comes in the middle. So we did 7 single crochets in the back loop only. That put us at the next double crochet 2 together, and over that we worked another treble crochet 2 together. We worked the first leg into the second treble, the front loop only of the second treble of this concentric V, and we worked the second leg of our treble crochet 2 together into the front loop only of the first treble of this concentric V. Then we again did 7 crochets, single crochets, in the back loop only of the next 7 stitches, which brought us to the last double crochet 2 together of the side, and over that we worked another treble crochet 2 together. We worked the first leg into the second treble of this concentric V that was behind our work, and we worked the second leg into the stitch that came immediately after the second leg of the double crochet 2 together. After that we worked 5 single crochets into the back loop only of the last 5 stitches of the round, and we worked our corner. So that wasn't too bad. That is that's the side of round 15. So go ahead and work the second and third sides completely, and I will show you how to finish off that very first side. To finish the last side of round 15, make your last corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner, chain 2 space, single crochet in the back loop only of the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will be your last treble 2 together. Yarn over twice and insert your hook in the front loop only of the stitch that came just before the first leg of your double crochet 2 together. So here's my first leg, and 1 stitch before that is this loop right here. Insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. To make your second leg, yarn over twice, insert your hook into the front loop only of the first treble of the concentric V, front loop only, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook twice. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And now you're going to make your last 7 single crochets into the back loop only of the next 7 stitches. The very next stitch is the one that comes right after the double crochet 2 together. So bend your trebles down. There's your double crochet 2 together. Insert your hook into the back loop only of the next stitch and make a single crochet. That was 1. We'll make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And to complete the round, slip stitch to both of the top loops of that very first treble 2 together and pull your slip stitch tight to make it small, and that is the end of round 15. To complete your square with round 16, chain 1 and single crochet in both loops of the first stitch. Single crochet in both loops of each stitch all the way across to the next corner. When you come to the corner, make it exactly as you would for any other round with a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in the chain 2 space. And then continue to make single crochets in the back loop only of each stitch across to the next corner. Do this all the way around. It's just a round of plain old single crochets into both loops of each stitch. When you get to the beginning, slip stitch to your first stitch to join and fasten off and weave in your ends. That is the end of our Fool's Rush in square. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm looking forward to the next square.